Hello, welcome along to Sportsbet TV. Paul Alster here with you once again with my weekend selections, and I have 4 recommendations for you across the meetings at Newbury, Thirsk and Navan, so 4 to look forward to. I was hoping to bring you a bulletin during the week for the York Dante fixture, but to be honest, I was feeling a bit under the weather, so wasn't really up to it, but I'm back fit and well and raring to go. If you're new to the service, then please press the subscribe button just below this screen. We're always trying to get you really decent priced runners. We've had a great run of success over most of the last 9 months. It's been a little bit quieter the last month or so. And indeed, last Saturday, disappointing, all 4 horses not really running as well as expected. And I don't think there's much more I can say to that. They just didn't run the kind of races I anticipated. Just before I come to the selections for Saturday, I just want to make a point about the Derby, which is coming up in just a few weeks' time now. We've seen most of the Derby trials, and I'm sure quite a lot of you out there will be looking for the horse to win the Derby. We all love to back a Derby winner, especially if it's a decent price. I'm always looking for value. I'm not giving a tip here at this point, but I'm just making a couple of observations. We've seen the trials at Chester, at Lingfield, at York, at Leopardstown. And I'm in absolutely no doubt that by far and away the most impressive performance was that of Bolshoi Ballet at Leopardstown in the Derrinstown Stud trial. It might not have beaten quite as strong a field as was assembled, let's say, for the Dante at York earlier this week, yesterday actually, but the way the horse quickened, the way it goes about its business, the reaction from Ryan Moore, everything about that horse says Derby winner to me. And when you're looking for value, you've got to think to yourself, what price would I lay the horse if I was a bookmaker? And I've got to be honest, if I was a bookmaker, I wouldn't go any bigger than even money. So the 7 to 4 that's on offer at the moment, to me, is a big value price. And even I'm considering getting involved, and I don't normally bet shorties, which for me is a shorty, 7 to 4. So while we've seen a good winner of the Dante Stakes yesterday, the Chester trials I thought weren't anything special, nor at Lingfield. I'll be very surprised if it gets to Derby Day at Epsom, if Bolshoi Ballet doesn't go off somewhere around even money or even shorter. And I'll be very surprised indeed if it doesn't win as things stand at the moment. When it comes to Derby Day, I'll take a good look at the field that has been assembled and declared. It might turn out that there's better value backing one of the bigger prices each way. We shall see. So that's the Derby. I'm interested to hear your views. I know you like to leave comments and thoughts as well, but that's the way I see things at the moment. Now, on to Saturday, May the 15th, Newbury, Thirsk and Navan, the big race of the day. At Newbury at 3:35 is the Group 1 Lockinge Stakes. It's always a cracker. It's over the straight mile. And this year's renewal looks a good one. There are 12 runners. And Palace Pier for the Gosdens, well, he's going to go off odds on. He's going to be hard to beat. He's won at St James's Palace and the Prix Jacques Le Marois last season. He was 3rd in a bog in the QE2, which we can excuse him for, at Ascot at the end of the season. And he was hugely visually impressive when he beat Bless Him by 8 lengths in the Group 2 Bet365 mile at Sandown recently. And he's rated 125, very, very high rating. Bless Him will reoppose and will probably not get any closer. Now, of the others that are interesting in the race, My Oberon, Top Rank, Lady Bowthorpe and Pogo, good old Pogo. They're all last time out winners coming here in good form, classy sorts, but I can't see any of that quartet being good enough to trouble the favourite. One that might run a big race is the wonderful grey Lord Glitters, who is just a fabulous racehorse, keeps doing it at the top level all over the world, you name it. He runs his race, whether it's out in the Middle East or in America or France, or wonderful horse, but I'll be surprised if he's good enough. Now, there's only one horse in my mind that is likely to give a real race to the favourite, and that is LOPE FERNANDEZ. LOPE FERNANDEZ is trained by Aidan O'Brien and is the mount of Ryan Moore. This is a horse very highly regarded as a 2-year-old 2 years ago in 2019. He showed very good form. And then last season, unusually for Aidan O'Brien, he seemed to be struggling to try and work out the trip for this horse. He began with a great first effort, finishing third to Siskin in the Irish 2000 Guineas. Then they went sprinting with him and ran him over 7 furlongs as well when he was second to Pinner Tubo. That was at 40 to 1 in a Group 1, the Prix Jean Prat in France. Then he ran in a few sprints and no joy there. He isn't a sprinter. Finally, the penny dropped and they tried new tactics. They sent him to America for the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Mile, and he ran an absolutely cracking race there. It really did finish well to be third in the Breeders' Cup Mile. And then if we leap ahead to April the 14th, the listed Heritage Stakes, his mile win there was supremely impressive, really was very, very impressive. He beat Saltonstall and some others, not the class of horse that he's going to be opposed by at Newbury on Saturday, but the way he did it suggested this horse is back, he's better than ever. Over a mile, he has a tremendous record. I think he's only run 3 times in all over a mile. That Irish 2000 Guineas, the Breeders' Cup, and then the win last time out. And I think he's getting better over a mile. And on the figures, he's within shouting distance of Palace Pier. And I think he will improve again for that first run of the season. So given all of the above, 13 to 2, still on offer each way at the time of this recording with the likes of Sky Bet, William Hill and Bet Victor. And I think that's very good each way value. I can't really see him being out of the frame unless something goes wrong or he doesn't get a run or something like that. But I trust Ryan Moore to be in the right place at the right time. And while I think Palace Pier will be hard to beat, he is not invincible. And I think LOPE FERNANDEZ is going to give him a real run for his money. Now, also at Newbury, the 4:45 is a mile handicap, 12 runners. The going, by the way, good to soft. And this is a hot handicap, really. Blue Mist, really interesting horse for Judmonte, having its first run since a wind operation and could have improved a lot. You've got the likes of Repertoire, Godolphin's Path of Thunder, and the enigmatic former, well, no, he is a Group 1 winner, Accidental Agent of Eve Johnson Hortons. But a few weeks ago, I tipped you a horse at Chester, actually. It was 4 last week, which was KENZAI Warrior, and he didn't run. He's trained by Roger Teal and is the mount of Jason Watson. And he is going to take his chance, all being well, in the 4:45 race at Newbury on Saturday. A bit like LOPE FERNANDEZ, but not quite of the same class. He was a very classy 2-year-old, unbeaten in 2 starts, including the Group 3 Horace Hill. He goes well with cut in the ground, but can also go on a decent surface. He was not unlucky, but he didn't do himself any favours on his first start as a 3-year-old, which came in last year's 2000 Guineas, won by Kamiko. With a slow start, he stayed on to finish 9th. And then the rest of his season kind of fell apart, as is not unusual with decent 2-year-olds. They can lose their way at 3, but very often they can come back at 4, especially with the male horses when they've been gelded. And that's what happened. Poor old KENZAI Warrior had the unkindest cut of all, but he'll hopefully now be, excuse me, focusing his attention on racing and not on other matters. Now, the horse won first time out as a 2-year-old. He ran a very good race first time out in last year's Guineas as a 3-year-old, and this will be his first start as a 4-year-old, and he's got cheek pieces on for the first time, and he's been given a chance by the handicapper and is down to 97. Couple that with the fact that Roger Teal's horses have been running well. His Oxted ran a perfectly good race, I thought, at York this week, and will, I think, improve for that run. I think that this horse, KENZAI Warrior, can go well. Now, at the time of the recording, and remember, you should always shop around to find bookmakers that are going to give you the very best offers that appeal to you, whether it's the best places or the bigger odds. And ideally, a bookmaker that's going to give you the best odds guaranteed. So if you take a price and the SP is bigger, you get paid. Well, at the time of this recording, 20 to 1 on offer for 4 places, and that's with William Hill as the best offer. I would not be at all surprised if the odds drift out, because they are just about the first firm up. So they're just testing the waters. I could see him being bigger odds, with many people probably looking at last season's form and thinking that maybe he's gone at the game. So for me, KENZAI Warrior each way, Newbury 445, the mile handicap is my second suggestion. I'll take you back to earlier in the day, the Thirsk 245, the 7 furlong Sporting Life handicap, 8 runners. I really miss the days of reading the Sporting Life. I used to be a form analyst for them way back in the day. Great paper, also available online. Flying Pursuit and Broken Spear will be horses very popular with punters here in this 245 race at Thirsk. They both won last time out. They've both gone up a bit in the weights. They're both likely to be thereabouts if they run their race. One horse who's a bit of a puzzle is Fox Duty Free, who's trained by Rafe Beckett 3 times and quite impressive winning on the all-weather. Is he going to prove to be as good on turf? Not sure. We'll see. Another Bat is a horse who I've got a bit of time for, down to what I think is a dangerous mark, and he very much came into calculations, Another Bat. But eventually I've come down on the side of a horse called AZANDO, who's trained by David O'Mara and is the mount of the very capable young jockey Cam Hardy. Now, AZANDO is a 5-year-old by Oasis Dream. He's had an interesting career. Originally started off with John Gosden, won as a 2-year-old at Yarmouth over 7 furlongs, and finished second as a 2-year-old in a Group 3 to Mahatha, who you'll recall is pretty useful. Then as a 3-year-old, he began by finishing third in the European Free Handicap. He ran down the field in the 2,000 guineas won by Magna Grecia, was second in the King Charles II Stakes, so that's virtually 2 years to the day. He then won a Group 3 at Chantilly over a mile on good to soft ground. And after that, they threw him in against Too Darn Hot. And that was too darn hot for him because he couldn't handle that brilliant horse, Too Darn Hot. He then was moved to French trainer Francis-Henri Graffald. Never really recovered his form, although he started off pretty well by coming second in a Group 3. And after that, after 3 runs, he joined David O'Mara. And he made a really good start this season for his new handler. Third to Toro Strike at Thirsk on good to firm ground back on April the 17th off a mark of 101. And then he was fancied to go well at Goodwood last time, but he reared up as the stalls open, slowly away. Good night, Vienna. Game over. So you can ignore his run last time out. If we go back to his run at Thirsk just a few weeks ago, he appears to retain all his ability. And I think he's going to go well. I think the trip will suit. And this is a front runner's track. And this horse does like to bowl along. And if they let him stride on, he might take a bit of stopping. So at the time of recording, each way, again, only William Hills are up early. I'm recording it early on Friday lunchtime for technical reasons. And that does to some degree mean that I'm limited on the odds that are being suggested. But you may well find bigger, and I certainly hope so. 8 to 1, though, is the marker here. Each way for AZANDO in the 245 race at Thirsk, James Herriot country. Love the track. And then my final selection is across in Ireland. I broadcast regularly on the Irish Racing. You can listen to me on many of the main bookmaker internet sites, broadcasting their internet radio service on the Irish Racing. I'm very often giving my thoughts and presenting there. And the Navan 305 race caught my eye on Saturday, a 5 furlong handicap at Navan, 12 runners, good ground, very open race. But I'll go straight to the horse I fancy, and his name is Sounds of Spring. He's trained by Ken Condon and ridden by an excellent rider, jockey I really got a lot of time for. I think he's great, Billy Lee, top Irish jockey. Now, this horse won over 5.5 furlongs at Navan in October, broke his maiden there in October of last season. And he made a good first impression this season, third on his handicap bow over 6 furlongs at Nason Soft Ground on the 28th of March. Then, a bit like that horse I just mentioned before, he reared up at the start and ran on. So he's definitely value for better than he showed there. He was well backed at Naas last time out when 11-4 favourite. They really fancied him, held up, stayed on in the closing stages. That was on the 26th of April. Now, this is a horse I think judging by his profile, who's better served by being allowed to bowl along and go forward. And I think there'll probably be a change of tactics on Saturday. And they've fitted him with the first-time cheek pieces, which means I think we can take to believe they want him to get out there and just concentrate on his job and get out there and run. And I think that's what they'll do. Those are the kind of tactics employed when he won his maiden at the track. And I'm really fancying him to go well. Now, there are a few other horses in the race that bring fair form to the table, and it's hard to assess the market. So no prices at all are put up early, which tends to be the case. They tend to be very slow on pricing up the Irish market, and probably for good reason, because there have been some right old gambles. You may have seen earlier this week, or was it the end of last, a horse that was 50 to 1 overnight was back down to 11 to 4, and Rachel Blackmore threw the kitchen sink at it, and it got home by about a head. There's been one or two other serious gambles as well. They tend to be a bit more successful in Ireland than they do in the big gambles in Britain. So the bookies always very cagey. I'm suggesting that around 5 to 1 might be the mark here for Sounds of Spring. I see the bookmakers are offering a quarter of the odds each way, and without putting prices up, they're showing a quarter of the odds. So 5 to 1 each way. If he runs into a place, you'll do no damage. So that's Sounds of Spring, Navan 305, the fourth of my quartet of suggestions for you to consider and maybe go with them, or pick a few out and throw a few of your own in as well. So I wish you the very best of luck. Wish us the very best of luck for Saturday. Enjoy your racing, and let's hope that they give us a proper run for our money. I'll be back with a bulletin same time next week. Enjoy the weekend. Bye-bye for now.